What's good? What's good? What's good? So, inquiries holding you back from getting to that money? Well, I'm gonna show you how to get results like this, like this, like this, and like this, step by step by step. I'm gonna show you the process because information changes situations. So, you already know what time it is. Let's get right into it. Welcome back to the #1 credit educational channel. Hey, my name is Dave, where I show you how to remove negative items off your credit report, how to build a relationship with those banks, and how to get to that money. So hard inquiries is one of the factors of your credit score, right? And it plays a major role when it comes to lending decision, when it's time to get approved. So if you have too many hard inquiries and you look thirsty, you most likely will get denied. So in today's video, I'm gonna break down how you can remove hard inquiries off your credit report, what it looks like when it comes to the credit score, how much points it's actually worth when it comes to hard inquiry, and if you stay to the end, I'm gonna show you step by step on how you can actually remove them hard inquiries once and for all, so you don't have to be waiting 2 years to actually wait for that actually get removed off your credit report. So let's get into that play. So first things first, I have to give you a clear picture so you can have an understanding when it comes to hard inquiry. So I'm gonna show you how much points hard inquiry is actually worth on your credit score, so you can have a better understanding and how you can improve the hard inquiries and how you can remove it. It plays in a big factor when removing your hard inquiries off your credit report. You'll see your credit score start to increase once you realize how much points hard inquiries is actually worth when it comes to the credit score. So most banks are pulling the FICO 8. I already teach about this, but I'm going to go through this real quick. Most banks teach the FICO 8, and the highest credit score you can have with the FICO 8 is 850. And the lower credit score you can have is a 300. That means you have 550 points to play with when it comes to your credit score. Now that you know how many points you have to play with, now you can see how much points in the payment history, how much points in utilization. I'm gonna break down each point system. So payment history, 35% of 550 is 192.5, right? 30% of 550 is 165 points, right? Average age, 15% of 550 is 82.5. Credit mix, 10% of 550 is 55 points, and hard inquiry, 10% of 550 is 55 points. Now that you know how much points hard inquiry is worth, now you see that it's not that big of a factor when it comes to applying for a different type of account. However, if you look thirsty and you're always applying, your credit score would tank because you're pulling. The credit bureaus don't care if you continue pulling because they're making money, so they don't really care if you apply and get denied. They don't really care. But if you don't know how to remove the hard inquiries off your credit report, then you're stuck. You gotta wait 2 years for the hard inquiries to actually fall off. So I'm gonna show you how to actually get these hard inquiries off so your credit score can increase, so you can get to that money and then be able to leverage your credit to be able to make some money or do whatever you want to do when it comes to your credit. So now that you understand how much points hard inquiry is worth when it comes to your credit score, I also want to give you a little bit of education when it comes to a soft pull and a hard pull and the difference between the two. So when you hear or see, you have a clear understanding on what's really going on. So when it comes to a hard pull, banks, lenders, depending on who is trying to extend you credit, most banks or most people are getting a hard inquiry because they're trying to see if you actually qualify for whatever you're trying to apply for. So if that's a personal loan, if that's a student loan, if that's a car loan, if that's a house, they're doing a hard pull from the 3 major credit bureaus, right? So that's anytime you're trying to qualify for something, you're gonna do a hard pull to see if you actually qualify. A soft pull, the difference between the two is they're asking for the last 4 of your social, and they're not asking for your full social. So if they're doing a soft pull, they're gonna ask for the last 4 and see, depending on their criteria, and see what information they're gonna grab from the credit bureaus is the difference between the two. So what's gonna happen is when you apply for something, if they ask for the last 4 of your social, that's just a soft pull. They're not gonna do a hard inquiry. If they ask for your full social, they're gonna do a hard inquiry and they're gonna do a hard pull from the 3 major credit bureaus. So that's the difference between the two. So now that you understand what's going on, now I'm gonna show you how to remove the hard inquiries off your credit report. So now that you know everything about hard inquiries, there are many ways you can remove hard inquiries off your credit report. However, I want to give you an actionable step, a step-by-step process where you can take action because information changes situations. However, if you don't implement what I'm talking about, then it's useless. So what you need to do is first identify what's on your credit report. Identify all the hard inquiries on TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Most people just looking at Credit Karma. However, there are 3 major credit bureaus, not 2, because most people are just looking at Credit Karma, but however, there are 3. So what you want to do is identify all the hard inquiries on all 3 credit reports, right? After you identify all the hard inquiries on all the credit reports, what you want to do is now freeze the secondary agencies, freeze the snitches, CoreLogic, Sage Street, Innovis, right? You want to freeze all of them because they are telling on you to the credit bureaus. They're reporting back to them to basically make sure the information is accurate. So what you want to do is make sure you freeze them, hush them up, suppress them, and make sure they can't talk to the credit bureaus. And after you do that, what you want to do is send a dispute letter in, right? You want to send an investigation letter in. This investigation now puts all the ownership on the credit bureaus and not yourself. You always don't want to say it's not yours. This is not your hard inquiry. This is not, you don't want to say that when it comes to writing a dispute. So what you want to do is say, check every piece of information on this hard inquiry and remove it if it's not reported correctly. So what happens is, what's going to happen is now the credit bureaus have to do their due diligence, reach out to the creditor and make sure this hard inquiry has the right paperwork, all the documentation that you actually gave them permission. And if they can't supply the paperwork to the credit bureaus, if they can't furnish the paperwork to the credit bureaus, what's going to happen is they have to remove this inquiry off your credit report. It's that simple. All you got to do is identify all the hard inquiries on all 3 credit reports, right? Second, hush the snitches. After you hush the snitches, what you want to do is send an investigation letter in. What you're doing is now putting all the ownership on the credit bureaus and not yourself, not saying it's not yours. So this is that simple. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And once you do that, if they don't remove the hard inquiry, what you want to do is follow up with the CFPB. Make sure you send everything certified so that you can send all this information to the CFPB. It's that simple. Once you do that, it's gonna come off because the CFPB they do all the due diligence to the credit bureaus because they're in control of the credit bureaus. So what they're gonna do is make sure the credit bureaus are doing their correct job. And if the credit bureaus are not doing their correct job and actually asking for the proper paperwork, they have to remove this hard inquiry off your credit report. It's that simple. And if you need more help for anything else when it comes to credit or get anything removed off your credit report, just watch this video right here and I'll show you step by step on how to remove anything off your credit report. It's that simple.